Hello, welcome to my channel. Thank you for joining me today. For those of you who are visiting for the first time, I have new tutorials and demonstrations every Monday and Thursday. The aim of my channel is to encourage beginners in art and share ideas and general art tips. If you aren't already subscribed, you can subscribe below and click on the bell for notifications of new videos. So today's video we're going to be doing Derwent Inktense. So these are the blocks and I have the set of 24 which has got a nice range of colours in it. You can also buy a set of 12, 36 and 72. And you'll know, those of you that are returning and that are regular subscribers, that I use my Inktense quite a lot and I do really like them. And the purpose of today's video with these little acorns really was to talk about painting loosely, quite freely, and just getting that very loose and free feeling in your artworks and not being too tight with your work. So one or two little hints and tips. When you're wanting to free up your work and to be a little bit more impressionistic or abstract and less tight and less detailed, just try and break things down into shapes. So you'll see I began by drawing with the Inktense. I've not done a pencil drawing or an ink drawing to begin with. I've not done any tight drawing. I've just gone in with my brush, so no pencil, and I'm using the brush to do the first initial lines. But because Inktense is permanent once it's dry, and because you can layer over the top of it, if you do make a mistake, it's not a problem, you can go over it. So that's why Inktense are particularly good for this kind of little sketch and study. So all I'm doing is having a play with the materials, seeing what they can do and practicing. So this is one thing about being loose with your artwork, is really don't, every time you go to do a painting, don't feel like it has to be a masterpiece, it has to be a completed finished work that you're going to be showing. Do something every day that you're just doing for fun, and have fun and enjoy it. So this is just in my sketchbook, it's a mixed media paper, but I'm just playing with the colours, and you'll look at the original photograph. And incidentally, I will link the photograph in the description below. It's a Pixabay photograph. I didn't use acorns. I chose acorns because of the time of year. I thought it'd be nice to do something more autumnal. But I thought if I used a photograph, then you could all have a go at it. I've put that in the description below. But of course, you could just pop out and get any fruits, conkers, damsons, whatever's around at this time of year to have a go at something like this. So what I'm mainly focusing on is the very basic shapes. And you'll see that the leaves are a very loose background. I wanted the emphasis to be on the acorns themselves, so the loose leaves, just getting that wiggly shaping gives you the feeling that it's an oak. But it's not just the shapes, it's the shapes and the tones. And if you get the shapes and the tones right, then you don't have to put the same level of detail in. So with the acorns themselves, you see the bottom one is facing towards us and the one on the left hand side is facing away. So just getting that arc of that little cap that they've got going in the right direction is one thing that's, you know, giving us that impression that it's going back. You'll also see that I move my lines both down the acorn and around it to get that sphere. And then when we come to the tones, I put plenty of shadow on to give us that 3D impression. Now when it comes to the colour, you'll see that I've not done the colours that are on the photograph at all, because the beauty of the Inktense is they're so bright and so colourful. It's good to have a play with all the colours that you've got, and this gives you another loose feeling and a more impressionistic feeling to your work is if you don't just stick to the colours that are in the original photograph and that you use a bit of artistic license. It doesn't matter if it's a different colour if the tone's right. So what I've actually done with the finished picture is I took a photograph of it and converted it into black and white. And if you look at the acorns, I've put that photograph right at the end of the video. And if you look at the acorns in black and white, you'll see that the tones are right and it's got that 3D feel to it. And this is a good way of checking your work. But have another look at it and you'll see that I've got the tones completely wrong with the leaves. The leaves need to be much darker, and I did in fact come back at the end and go darker with the background to make those acorns pop out. So I've talked about this before. Those that you have been on my channel before will know I say this quite a lot, that we're not recreating a photograph, we're not taking a photograph. We could just use our camera if we wanted to do that. We are making a picture. And so as you go along, abandon your photograph in a way. Once you get a third of the way through your painting and you've got your shapes down and you've got that general feel and you know where you're going with it, don't rely so heavily on your photograph. Rely more on your eye. Keep looking, seeing what you think it needs to balance it, to balance the colours. You'll see I put some oranges in because there's some quite warm tones in the ends of the acorns there and on the stem and things, and then I decided to pop a little bit of that in the background to balance it a little bit. So you're just playing and getting ideas together, and this is the thing, we're not doing a finished piece, we're having fun and playing with the materials and seeing what you can do with the materials. And this is why I like to use Inktense instead of watercolour for these little studies, because it's so immediate and vibrant, and you don't have to spend ages mixing up colours or lifting the paint from the palette. It's very, very bright and immediate. So I would strongly recommend Inktense. As you know, I use them an awful lot. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to tell you about why I was doing this or what we're doing. I mean, it's not perfect. It's a little sketch, and we're just getting a feel for the time of year, the light on these little acorns and the shapes of them. You'll see with the detail, it's sort of mainly reserved for the acorns themselves, not the background, but the little caps where they've got all that texture on, I didn't, I just made shapes with the end of my brush. I didn't put a lot of detail on those. And then right at the end, I just finished off by some extra lines with some charcoal and some chalk, just to bring the highlights and the shadows out. And you'll see that reflected in the black and white photograph right at the end. Okay, so I hope you enjoy that. I hope if you want to have a little go with it yourself, like I say, the picture will be in the description below. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll be back again on Monday with another video. In the meantime, if you've got any questions you'd like to ask about anything I've been doing today, what materials I've used, like I say, it was mainly just the Inktense, the charcoal, the chalk, and then at the end I actually dipped the Inktense block into water to go really dark, which is something I like to do, although it is very messy to do that. So I think that's it. So I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.